When looking for the king of podcasts, you're at the wrong channel.
Well, excuse me!
Looking for good ideas for life? You're far from good hands.
Hey, bud, what's your problem?
If you think the listener is always right, you're far from the right place.
Out of order! Even in the future, nothing works!
Hosted by a Northeasterner by birth, but a rebel by choice.
Are you threatening me?
If you want a host that floats between love and madness,
and we know the night is always gonna be here anyway. Thinking of you's working up my appetite, looking forward to a little afternoon delight.
then play on and listen to Crazy Train Radio.
All right, guys, listen to this blues riff and B. Watch me for the changes and try and keep up, okay?
Within the gaming world, there are your general gamers, but then there are those that enjoy the dark underbelly of gaming. If you're one of those that enjoy the dark underbelly of gaming, we certainly got the place to send you. Scorpion Lair Games. That's right, Scorpion Lair Games is the creators of the true crime hit Killers, the card game. Let's not forget they also have Killers Clothing Company, the profiler game, and things like the 5-Minute Murder channel on YouTube. And we certainly can't forget the new book that is certainly a hit, Beyond the Headliners, True Crimes, Myths, and Legends. Make sure you visit Jeff and the Scorpion Lair Games on Facebook and everywhere today.
Hey, Nick Turturro here. Crazy Train Radio. It was a pleasure and an honor. Thank you. I had a blast. Hope you did. Check it out. It was a good show.
Hey folks, it's your least favorite host in the podcast world, Croc, Jonathan Steele. And boy, do we have a good one for you today.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this next guest has had his ups and downs throughout his 30-plus year career, but he has always still been able to keep a level head. He has done things such as work for Spike Lee on a number of occasions. He was on the hit TV show NYPD Blue. Let's not forget guest ring announcer of WrestleMania XI. On Blue Bloods were several appearances, and one of everybody's favorite comedies, The Longest Yard, the Adam Sandler version, as Brucie. So why don't we go ahead and welcome Mr. Nick Turturro.
Well, Nick Turturro, how the hell are you, sir? It looks sunny where you're at.
Yeah, California. So it's sunny, and just getting over my wounds from the postseason.
Yeah. But I'm gonna open up those wounds for 1 second because you obviously are New York born and bred.
And we're talking, folks, if you live under a rock, we're talking the Dodgers Yankees World Series, which the Dodgers have won. But you being born and bred New York, did you make it out here for any of the World Series games or?
I went to New York for all three. The first two, my son went to game one. I was supposed to go to game one with him, but I elected not to go. It was a wild, great game, but probably the game that decided the whole series. So I didn't go to game one. So superstitiously wise, I'm thinking maybe I should have been there. Maybe it was my fault. I'm even blaming myself in game five because I did something I don't usually do. I left my seat when it was 5-0 to go have something to quickly eat because I never thought in my wildest dreams that was going to happen. So weird superstitions with baseball, like players have it. I think fans have it too. I do too. And so I'll take partly the blame for not being there game one and going to the restaurant in game five.
Fair enough. And I totally get the superstitions baseball wise,
Yeah,
I know we'll be. Go ahead. Sorry.
it will haunt me. That's all. That kind of stuff haunts me because I know, like when I'm in, I don't leave. I don't leave under any. I'll leave to pee and then run right back, like I did in Cleveland. I went to Cleveland too, and we lost a heartbreaking game, game three. The guy from Major League showed up, hit a home run. I was like, oh my God. Then I came back the next night. I mean, we won a game that was like, we lost a game that was surreal. Then we won a big game, almost threw that away, but won it. And then I came home and then I saw them win the fifth game at home. So I was in Cleveland for 2 and I was in New York for 3. It was a wild ride in this postseason. But like the Yankees and their fans and their team that they've kind of built, they're kind of built on, bringing you up to the top of the mountain and then letting you crash. They're like a feast or famine team. It's like show business. It's kind of like you're either on top of the world or the bottom. And the Yankees have become like that. In the 90s, they were a solid, never beat themselves. They were a well-oiled machine that knew how to win. 70s too, when I was a kid. Very, very tough team that knew how. This group, they're like a very flawed team. They're a very sexy team because they hit a lot of bombs. They have a lot of power. They can come back. But at the end of it, they leave you hanging dry because they haven't, to me, the foundation always rears its ugly head.
Absolutely. And I'm a Northeast guy. I'm based in the Philly area. So I know how New York sports fans are as well. But since you live in LA, but like you said, you visited Cleveland for a couple of those games and such. How are those two cities, would you say, as baseball fans or sports fans in general?
Philly and Cleveland?
No, I'm saying Cleveland and LA.
Oh, no comparison. Cleveland's great. Cleveland's great. I mean, LA has some good sports fans here, and I mean, I think it has some, has some great teams. I mean, but to me, it's not a sports town. They have a lot of sports fans here, and obviously, but it's just so big and so spread out. It doesn't have that close knit. Like if you go to Cleveland, you go to Boston or Philly, these people are fanatical. They live and die like New York, like Yankee fans, true Yankee fans, not watered down bandwagon fans. I don't think you can compare the fan base. I don't think you can compare the fanaticism from what I've seen. From what I've seen and what I've felt. And I'm not discrediting their fan base. They have a good fan base. But I don't think they're that fanatical.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a whole different beast.
We'll be talking about this. Knowledge, too. Knowledge. That's what I'm saying. Knowledge. And being objective. Not crying. I was just doing people are like, oh, stop crying. It's over. This, that. You lost. I'm like, it's not about that. It's not about that for a hardcore fan.
Yeah.
So, I'm just I'm being completely honest. You can't compare like Red Sox, Yankees. I've seen that. I've seen it up close. It's insane. It's on a different level.
Mm-hmm.
And since the Red Sox have won and broken the curse and won, they're not as angry as they used to be. They're not as bitter. But there's nothing like being in Fenway Park.
There's still that energy about it, though.
Oh, my God. And I felt that in Cleveland. Very intense. Very, very exciting.
And not going to stay on baseball the whole time here, but the last thing I want to bring up, and I got a kick out of it when I was doing some reading and seeing other stuff. It was during the playoffs. I don't know which series it was. You were with an old buddy of mine in Yankee Stadium. I know him as Luis Martinez, but for those who listen and are fans, he's actually Damian Priest.
Oh, yeah, I've gotten to know him and we've become friends, and he's a good Yankee fan, and a really great guy. Really great guy.
Yeah,
Really,
Damian's a good dude.
we just kind of met over the Yankees. I mean, a lot. I've had friendships. Growing up, I had a friend named Anthony Gracia. It was over the Yankees. We became friends. We hated each other. Then he was a Yankee fan, and I was a Yankee, and we had something in common. We became best of friends. And it was like because we had something in common. I grew up in a neighborhood with like all Met fans. I was in Queens. It was all Met territory. It was like, how did you become a Yankee fan? By accident. I went to the original Yankee Stadium in '73 before they refurbished it, and I fell in love with the team. And just something that happened. It wasn't because they were great. I didn't even know their history. In fact, they had been bad for a long time. So I'm glad I became a fan when they were kind of bad or they weren't that good. And George Steinbrenner had just bought the team, and then fast forward, to 25 years, 1996, I'm doing commercials. I'm on a TV show, and I'm in spring training. I have this hat to show it, 96, and I meet Mr. Steinbrenner, and I'm watching a game with him, and we're talking about Derek Jeter in a spring training. Oh, well, there might be some hopes for this kid, Nick. And here I am sitting with George. I was in my living room screaming, yelling, in the 77, 78. I was at the Reggie game. I've kind of like lived a wild life when I think about me as a fan, what I've experienced. Like, I mean, I got in the locker room in 96 because I was on a TV show. We were there with NYPD Blue. It like two worlds crossed. And it was just like the most insane, magical year of my life. That year on a show, the Yankees winning. I got married with my wife, Lisa. Just like when I think about 96, it was just like, it was too much to even think about. You know what I mean? Happening to you in your life. Things that you fantasize, and then I was living it, if you know what I mean.
Oh, absolutely.
TV show, falling in love, and then the Yankees. I mean, it does. I mean, that's it. It doesn't get any better than that.
That's a good thing because when you think about all aspects of your life, things were just on such a positive roll. It's pretty good to think back on that. And I know doing what I'm doing, cut on the same theme, or try this in English, on the same theme that you were talking about. There's half the time I will look at my phone, answering texts or something. I'm going, how in the am I talking to certain people that like from when I was a kid and would watch and all that shit? You going, is it, for me at least, it's like, is this real? Like, what the hell? Mm-hmm. And actually, you were one of those guys. And since I mentioned Damian, I went back last night and actually watched WrestleMania 11, which you were a ring announcer and you did some backstage reporting and all that kind of thing. Were you a fan growing up of the business or?
Of wrestling?
Yeah.
Yeah, old school wrestling. Like Bruno Sammartino and, way back when. I always got a kick out of it. I like the theatrics of it. Mm-hmm. I thought it was hysterical, hilarious. I mean, I wasn't like a hardcore fan, but I was a wrestling fan. I was. I mean, like a lot of the old school stuff. And I just loved the characters, how these guys, the crack up, the names, the storylines. I mean, I don't think I've followed it so closely over the years, but I'm getting back into it too now with Damian and stuff. Yeah, I definitely, it's a world that I like. I mean, I was more of a boxing fan, but being an actor, being somebody that likes theatrics, and the behind the scenes of it, it's kind of it's a very interesting show.
Yeah. And I know it's talking to guys like Damian and other guys there now, it's more corporate, if you would say. Yes, it's entertainment.
Like everything. It's very more corporate, just like baseball, the game I love. It's so corporate. It's so guarded. It's so this, it's so that. I mean, like, even like now I'm on social media, whatever, and it blows up and this and that. And it's a little, it's really, it's a little bit beyond what, I've been that crazy fan behind closed doors for years. So now it's a little more public knowledge, but I'm also very knowledgeable about the game. I'm not just, somebody that yells and screams just to get views. I don't do that. I love the game, and it's very corporate. I think it's a little too guarded. It's a little too watered down, and they could use more people like me who really love the game, from little league up to whatever. I just love the game and the enthusiasm that I have. It's just like that speech. I watched that speech that De Niro does in the movie. It's a great speech. I just bring that up because it's like, enthusiasms. And then De Niro and David Mamet's like, well, what am mine? What draws my admiration? What is that which gives me joy? Baseball. And it's a great speech. He goes, a man stands alone. There he stands alone. But in the field, what? Part of a team. Bats, throws, catches, part of one big team. And that's what it's about. That's why the Yankees lost. If you listen to that speech, the guy goes, guy's thinking about himself. What do we have? Nothing, no one. I get nowhere unless the team wins, he says. And that's what it's about. Team first. Individual shit second. I don't care how good you are. Just like a show. You gotta have a great star, this, that, but you gotta have people around them. Can't have a great movie with just one person. You gotta have great cast, a great foundation. I was on a great show. It was like we were, it was great. It was magical. David Caruso was amazing. But we were all pitching in. We were all part of the team. We all had a hand in a winning team, a winning movie, and so your part. And you do need a leader. You do need a star, but you don't have to have 10 stars. You don't have to have 10 stars in a movie. Now you need sometimes those movies stink. They have too many names and it has no chemistry. No chemistry. There's a lot of parallels between sports, baseball, movies, life. There really is. That's why I love baseball, because there's a lot to it. Think about it. First base, hit a single. It's okay to, and if you get a double, all right, triple. Can't always hit a home run. And you strike out a lot. You fail a lot. My business is like that too. People go, "Oh, you still acting?" What do you mean, am I still acting? I've been acting for 30 fucking years. I haven't seen you. Well, maybe you're not looking hard enough. I didn't die. You know what I mean? I haven't seen you. Well, I haven't seen you either. How about that? I mean, it's a crack up. Are you still acting? Do I ask you, are you still hauling garbage or whatever? It's like, it's really ridiculous. The perception of people. I would never say that to anybody. Whether I was an actor or not, I would never say that. Yeah, I've had highs and lows.
But that's life.
But that's life, my friend. I had a couple of pilots. I had one pilot that was fantastic. Could have been a big show. The network didn't pick it up. No one saw it. Could have made me a bigger, could have given me my own show, my own whatever. I mean, my kind of comedy. It didn't get picked up for whatever reasons. Demographics, this, that. Sometimes the ball has to bounce your way. Sometimes it don't. But that's
exactly. There's, like you said, it's like baseball where you might get 3 hits out of 10 at bats in any other profession. Yeah.
Good. I've had a couple of good runs in my life. I've been a part of some really good television and some really good movies. And I've been a part of some really bad stuff too, that, you got to do it because you got to make a living, but it doesn't always all come together. It's not your fault. You try harder even on a project that is not that great versus one that's great. And then one that's great. Oh, that was great. And you were great. And I'm like, yeah, I could have done great work in a project that it just didn't work for a lot of reasons. The script, this, that. I mean, the direction, a lot of things, the execution. And then when you're part of something that's really good and you do good work in it and you can contribute in something good, it's a great feeling. But you try just as hard on things that maybe weren't as successful or weren't as good, but it's hard to have a good team. It's hard to have a good show or a good movie. It takes a lot, I mean, I'm developing something now that, me and my wife put together and we're like developing it. And it's like, it's even that. And it's like something like a travel kind of show, but it's like, we're just trying to make it feel like not just the typical reality show, and it's like, I don't know. I mean, I'm just telling you the story, my story, how I feel about my life, movies, TV, sports, baseball. There's a lot of parallels. There's a lot of things that's why sometimes guys that are fascinated by, I'll meet some ball players. I'm friends with a few guys and, very fascinated by the creative process and this and that. And I'm very fascinated by what goes on, in a pitcher's head or this guy's mind or, because they're two different worlds. But I'm also know that you got to be respectful, because people are human. They're not robots. I don't know what's
Hold on, let me.
why a guy drops.
Yeah, I think I am.
Yeah. Anyway,
Well, you
hopefully
brought up a
that
good point.
that gives you some idea of this is more than just baseball. This is more about just everything in the game of life, game of being creative, things like that. And just sort of like telling you, hey, I'm not a one-trick pony. So, I'm up, I'm down, I'm calm. I can talk about things in a intelligent way. I have something to say when it's something I know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? I'm not going to talk about something I don't know. You want to talk about, a performance, movies, or you want to talk about, I know the difference between, what's good and what's not good. And that's my opinion, but it's pretty much a fact because when I'm, talking about something I'm passionate about, I'm open to always learn something too. It's like if I talk to my brother, I mean, he'll come at it he's kind of brilliant. And my brother John, and I mean, it's just, I always come away with something like, wow, I didn't think of that. Wow, it's really like his imagination is just, and that's what's always great. You always got to you never know it all. If you think you know it all, you don't know anything. So,
Where the hell were you last night when I could have had you in the car with somebody acting like they knew what they were talking about, but they didn't?
Who was that?
No, it was just a buddy of mine. He was spouting shit out about nonsense. And it's like, dude, where do you get
There's a lot of
with
people.
facts? Yeah.
There's a lot of people like that.
Diarrhea of the mouth, kind of.
I mean, my problem is, I can't stay on. I'm so like ADD now. I have a hard time just staying on. I'm all over the place. But that's part of my creative juices. I kind of like, sometimes I just need somebody to hone me back in. I still have some good stuff in me. I still have fire in the tank and in my belly and to do good work, to do whatever. I mean, even being a fan, to be a good fan, just keep growing it.
Well, Nick, I'll tell you this with the ADD and all, ADHD over here. So I'm in that same boat. But I was talking to a actress and wrestler and all that stuff who has similar things. And I was like kicking myself on the creative aspect of everything. And she said, you think about this way. If you are in that category, let's just say if we're putting it in a box of ADHD and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
we are probably some of the most creative people.
Yeah. I know. But imagine if I had like my career, myself, I think a lot of my things where my downfall or whatever, things that it could be, I just think if I could have focused more or I could have, but just maybe that's just not who I am. Like my brothers. So like, but we're different people. You can be brothers, sisters, parents. You have some similarities, but ultimately you have your own body. And like sometimes you look at someone and you go, how are we even related? Now, one time I said to my brother, I go, how'd you get so smart? I was doing a project with him in Rome, and his dialogue was insane. I mean, one day I had a meltdown. I couldn't remember these few lines. And he was just like, it's in my body. It's in my body, Nick. And I was like, wow. The guy go, well, how'd you get so smart? And he goes, I read. I read, Nick. And I was like, because I think since I'm so ADD, I like to read, but I never was well read like that.
Yeah.
But I get it. Like he's like, I read. And I'm like, I admire brains. I really admire that kind of, I'm just not, you know, I don't know. I'm not wired that way. I'm more of an instinctual guy. Even like with reading, I want to read, but it's like work for me. And unless I'm reading something that I just can't stop. But like somebody, my wife's brother could like read a book in a week. He was like just gifted. Just he had that like mind. It's like that's his gift. But then he could be short-sighted in a lot of areas too. But I think I have a really, really good brain. I think I see a lot of things. But I'm not, I could have read more. I could have educated myself more. But
We can always kick ourselves that way,
I
though,
always
man.
kick ourselves. I'm like, listen, I can't be good at everything in life. You have your gifts. Someone has something else, and that person has something else too. So it's like, you are what you are, and this is who I am. And people, they like watching a game with me, or they like being around. I mean, because it's like they feel like, wow, it's fun to be with you. So I think I've always been that kind of way, kind of a blue collar, kind of a people person. But then some people are just too much too. They just kind of like just want to they just like suck you dry. It's like sometimes you have to like protect yourself somewhat, because people will just suck the life out of you. You know?
And I'm
And
not going to go deep this way, but with what you just said there, always reminded me of a quote I always enjoyed. And it was from a book I read, Bill Clinton's autobiography from when he was in office.
yeah,
And he was talking about know what you don't know and being willing to admit that. And you were just hitting at that there. When he
no,
was talking about his
no,
experience, he says, hey, I'm
no,
first to say, I don't know.
know what you don't. I don't know. Yeah, very smart, very smart. Exactly. That's why if somebody starts talking about, whatever, worldly stuff or religion or politics, I stay away from those kind of things, because it's like I don't know enough to really talk about it. I like to hear both sides. I like to hear, and then, somewhere in the middle, you make up your own mind. Because you hear so much stuff, and like you really don't know this person's truth. That's the truth. This is the truth. I never, I can't buy into all that stuff.
Hmm.
The truth usually lies somewhere in the mid, in
Yeah.
between. You know, there are some truths, and then there are some, and then there's so much conspiracy, and there's
Yeah.
so much today. It's just like it's really out of control from when I was a kid. It's
Yeah.
really out of control. I don't even.
Completely different world.
Yeah, I feel like I lived in the first, I would say 35 years of my life. After like the 2000s, the last 25 years, it has gone bonkers. I don't know what world it is. It's not the world that I grew up in. It's not the world I come from. I don't relate. I don't relate. I don't relate to like people. I don't relate to subject matters. I don't relate. I
Mhm.
just don't, you know.
You mentioned your brother. Was he the one who introduced you to Spike Lee, or did you meet Spike elsewhere?
No, he introduced me. I was in went down to watch on one day, Do the Right Thing, and then I asked him if I could be an extra. And then he said, yeah. He said, because I had been a theater major, let it go, and this and that. And then I met Spike, and then Spike like liked the way I looked, and I was an extra, and then I was supposed to come back one day. I didn't. And then he called me out of the blue just to do some voiceover work. I don't know, why he had me in his head. I was just an extra. He said I liked him. I thought he was going to come back. I went one night and then I go back to work, and then I loved the set, and I didn't know nothing about Spike. I just knew he was kind of an interesting cat. And then the guy called me, and then I did these racial obscenities that he flipped out over. And he put me in a movie. And that's how I met Spike. Changed my whole life. I mean, sometimes always people that do change the direction of your life. He gave me that opening and gave me that introduction and gave me that. He did that with a lot of people, just discovered people and plucked Rosie Perez out of, I think, a discotheque or something. So Spike's an interesting cat. We've had a long friendship over the years, but there's always somebody in your life. There's people you meet, and he saw something that was always there, and then it was up to me to harness it and kind of run with it and develop it. But I will give him a lot of credit for starting me out on this journey, on having this career. He really was I don't think you forget the people that gave you that chance.
Who bring you to the dance.
Yeah, and then it's up to you. But he opened the door for me on his own. Said, I think this guy's raw, but I think he's got something.
It's like that story my father always tells me. He goes, my grandfather, my mom's dad, said, hey, I can get you an interview with this job. But after that, and I'll teach you what you need to know. After that, it's on you, like you said.
That's right. And I've done that for people. I've been in positions where I've recommended this, that, give them an opportunity. And most of the time, 9 out of 10 times, these people didn't run with it. And I did that one time with a friend, got him in a pilot, and it was a gift, but ultimately it wasn't for him, or he was not that passionate or really didn't want it that bad, because you got to want it too. It's like Posada said about the Yankees, like, you got to want it. Who wants it more? And, you got to have some talent. You have talent, thick skin, it's not easy. People, you're just playing yourself. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. There's more to it.
There's a lot more to it than that. There's a lot more to it. And you got to come through. You got to, if someone gives you a chance, you got to make them look good. Otherwise, you're not getting another chance. You're not getting another at bat. You got to get up there and hit the ball. You got to, what I mean?
Absolutely. With everything you've done, NYPD Blue, I know you did some stuff with Blue Bloods, Longest Yard, Brucie, and you've done a variety of stuff through the years.
Yeah.
And you said a little while ago about you and your wife working on something and from a creative aspect and all. But what would you say, both personally and professionally, is driving you? What's that gut thing, you think?
What's driving me is just to do more. To really, I feel like I've showed a lot, but I feel like there's more there. There's bigger stuff. There's, comically, people have seen me, but I could even do more comically. I could do more than just being a little, nut job. I feel like comically and dramatically, I could together do something, or a combination of something, that I can be funny in a different way, and I can also be dramatic. I think that the combination of that has not really reared its head in like a great series that I define that. And I kind of had that one time with this things I've developed, and a couple of pilots I developed years ago, one CBS, WB. And I feel like because those didn't get on, I didn't get that. The world didn't get to see me like do a combination of things, not just like one crazy little thing like Brucie or whatever. I can do more than that. I think I have more to offer. Because I can bring a little bit of both. I can bring drama, and I can bring I did that a little bit with this character on Blue Bloods, and sometimes some writers loved it. And there was other people like, whoa, where's the comedy? How is it being like, and that's the spin, and people like that got it were like, oh wow, that's great. Because that's what life is. Life isn't just cops and robbers. There's humor and tragedy. And I had a little bit of both in that Renzulli character, which I thought I kind of, it just on the fly was creating that character. And one of the writers goes, I didn't even know this was funny. he was paying me a tribute. He goes, and you made it like eating a sandwich or whatever. You made it like, I was like, yeah, that's interesting. Kind of like a modern day Columbo type thing where you could act and also have a comedic sense. And so stuff like that is driving me to want to do, because I feel like I've done a lot, but I feel I could do a lot more. But I have to get the chance too, the opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not like, there's a lot, it's a harder world today. It's not always about what's good today. People's
Exactly.
taste, people's attention span, it's very short. Very short, you know.
Two more questions for you, sir, and thank you for the time.
Okay.
With being serious there for a second, you grew up in a household. Mom was a jazz singer. Dad worked as a shoemaker and a carpenter,
He
but
was
was
a
also
carpenter builder. He wasn't a shoemaker.
okay. Yeah, damn internet always being 100% right.
Yeah.
But they both did what they had to do to, put food on the table and stuff. Were they surprised you and your brother got into the entertainment business and done what you have?
I mean, we were always creative. My brother Ralph was a musician. My brother John did impersonations. He was very eccentric in his own, like, very low-key way. I used to sing. I was like a natural singer, like a crooner. My mom had brothers were musicians. My father on his side had a brother that was an artist. I don't know. There was creative juices flying in that family. It just when we weren't a show business family, and I don't think it was a shock that we went the creative route. My father always thought, "Man, maybe how you got to make a living at that vagabond world." His brother was an artist who suffered, great artist, a great abstract. Aida's dad, and so I don't think he thought you could. My brother was the one that really went to college, then struggled, grad school, and then when he came out, he was like finally like making a living, but it took him a long time. And then it was like, wow, you could actually, even I didn't realize, I didn't even think that. And at the beginning of mine, I was like, I don't think it was a shock. I think it was surprising that, wow, somebody that could make it. My brother was the first, I would say, to be really successful. And then, I started late. I was a doorman, all this stuff. And just the fact that I had a career and was able to do it like at a late age without all that formal training is kind of a wild story in itself too. So, but I think we were a wild, dramatic family that had those. I think we had there was a lot of dreams in the house and stuff, but it wasn't like, oh, we were going to make it and stuff. I think it happened over, different periods for different people. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I don't know. There was always a lot of talent in that family. There was,
That makes sense.
it was my uncles, whatever, big personalities, these guys that were like bigger than life. Yeah. I mean, really, my brother made a great movie about them, Mac, which is a great movie. He won a first Camera d'Or years ago. I'm in it too. I have a small, funny part. But in the construction, it was funny that like they were in construction, but yet they were kind of like movie stars in a different way. They were stars, but like the Turturros, they were iconic. I look at myself as like a cheap version of them. They really were. Those are the people that, I saw and that kind of like influenced me. So I don't know. Maybe it was in the blood. That's all I could say. I don't really know.
Guy, this will be a little less serious. Being a Queens guy, where's your favorite place for pizza when I'm back in the city again?
Well, I mean, Queens, I had my favorite place in Rosedale. It's gone now, J&S Pizza. It was a little pizzeria with a square piece. That was amazing, J&S Pizza. But, I got a couple of spots in New York that I love. Prince Street Pizza. These guys are my buddies. I love these guys. I mean, John's on Bleecker, the original John's, Patsy's in Harlem, Lucali's in Brooklyn, very good. Luigi's in Brooklyn, Joe's in Manhattan. So many great. This is the best pizza in the world. So it's the best.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can't beat New York pizza. I don't care where you go.
No, not at
but
all. I love eating it in Penn Station, but that's a whole nother thing. But
whatever.
yeah. Hey, Nick, thank you so much for the time.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it.
Hey there, Friday fans. We know how much you enjoy the movies. Enjoy grabbing your Friday merchandise and interacting with the Friday family, whether it be at conventions or during our particular watch-alongs. Well, when you're looking to get yourself masks, why not check out our friends over at Camp Blood Customs out of New York State and order your specific custom mask from any of the films. All orders are made specifically. Your needs and wants are. Make sure you find Camp Blood Customs on Facebook, Instagram, and all over social media and order yours today.
This is Supermouth Dave Drayson. I'm listening to Crazy Train, the best in the world right now. Please. And if you're lucky, Supermouth will be back.